Hey everyone, Kunik here, back with another RPG horror story for you today. This story was actually submitted by our Discord community member Dakota, and features a rather detailed homebrew game that gets a little toxic towards the end. So, with that all set, let's roll for initiative and get on with the story. So I was just getting back into the tabletop scene after a bit of a hiatus and was excited to try a new system. We wound up using this hodgepodge of White Wolf and GURPS. It was a bizarre meeting of the White Wolf character sheet, but all rolls are made with a d20, and there were no classes. Credit where it's due, our DM was great and created entire classes for us depending on what we wanted to play. I wound up joining the reboot of an old Champions Online setting where I played Adric the Witch Doctor. I had a bunch of cool things I could do, like open a gate to the spirit world, summon zombie dogs, and even curse someone into being a chicken. The thing is, the DM was a good DM in terms of building a world and making us feel the actions of our consequences, and giving us choice and freedom to do whatever we wanted. The only issue is that, like your first playthrough of Morrowind, he told us nothing, and let us do whatever we wanted without any inflection in his voice that I'm sure most DMs would use to subtly hint that you might not want to do that, or it's not the best option. So our actions had consequences, and a lot of them, and we always had choice, but they always happened to be the bad ones. A prime example of this is that my character was introduced to the party and shown to an NPC that was of the lizard folk species. Some Mary Sue species that the DM concocted. Hyper intelligent, super advanced technology, even in a superhero setting. They tell me there's something wrong with him, so I ask if I see anything wrong with him. DM says I'll need to roll something. I shrug and say I don't know, so I guess I roll occult? DM then explains that there's a spectral snake wrapped around the lizard's soul, and is slowly constricting and smothering him to death. I nod and relay this to the party. They say they already knew about that, and I nod and ask if there's anything else wrong with him. DM says, "Nothing you could see with your spectral eyes." So I leave and go explore the base. The second player that joined with me, a more traditional support wizard type, goes up and says, "Okay, I'd like to roll medicine on him." DM practically yells, "Finally, someone rolls freaking medicine!" And I'm sitting there like, what the heck? The player rolls an 11 and discovers various open wounds, bits of shrapnel, and bits of broken gem stuck in the lizard dude's body. I bit my tongue because I didn't know any better at the time, and I barely understood the backwards system this guy had built out of White Wolf. Later on, because of in-universe cool superhero BS, I transitioned from being a witch doctor to being a technomancer, which came with various upgrades, one of which was a medical nanobot swarm. The skill description, which the DM wrote himself, said, heal for 1d10 plus computer, or if you roll a 15 plus, heal for 1d10 plus computer times 2. So when a party member was wounded, I went up to help him and used my nanobots. DM says, "Okay," while rolling a dice. He takes 5 points of damage. Mind you, the average player health at this point was 12. And I had to just stop and stare at the screen like, what the actual duck, dude? DM explained it with, "Your nanobots are only meant to heal you, and they don't recognize his genetics." And wouldn't hear any of my protests about why that's dumb and the skill needs to be more clearly worded. A lot of the game went on like this, where someone would do something and the DM would just assume we knew every aspect of every piece of the game, from the 12 plus factions to the 30 plus heroes, and all 45 of the skills we had access to, which he wrote himself. I get being a brutal DM that gives you no information, but to assume that I, who has never even played Champions Online, would see a silvery blue ingot on the ground and immediately grab it like I knew what it was is a hell of a reach. Before this gets too long, I'll just finish it off by saying how the campaign ended. I managed to get a second character upgrade, going from the in-the-field version of the guy in a chair to a Techno Knight in shining armor, and a fancy glowing energy sword. Because I went from a backwoods witch doctor to a high-tech hero, I made this semi-natural character transition of going from being closed-minded and being set in his ways to being dazzled with technology, losing touch with the spirits in favor of information, power, and videos of cows doing weird things. I ended up getting sick of the group. It was a highly toxic group of about 9 people where we only made each other worse, so I left. After I left, someone told me the campaign ended shortly after, and in the DM's words, "No one was keeping track of information, like watching the news or reading the paper, so the bad guys have collected way too many resources for you guys to win anyway." Right, because the party that had a dude who spent every free moment going through YouTube's front page wouldn't see the news. End post. Homebrew settings can be a lot of fun. However, it's really within the DM's responsibility to understand where their players' perceived knowledge comes from before they go into the game. And to just expect them to know everything or remember everything about the game is a little crazy. Even if you're taking notes constantly throughout, I mean, 12 plus factions, 30 plus heroes within the story, you're going to lose track of that stuff. It's just going to happen. And if you're going to homebrew any kind of skills and not put limitations on them, you can't just impose a limitation when the user goes to use the spell or skill just because you forgot to put it in the text. I guess my 2 cents here are, instead of fighting the party at every nook and cranny, maybe work with them a bit. If there's clearly a conflict between the players and the DM, and it's a homebrew setting, chances are the players just simply aren't getting it, and you may want to work with them on your downtime to smooth things out a little bit. Anyhow, that's all for this story. Again, thank you, Dakota, for posting the story in our Discord server, and there's a few other stories that have been posted there as well over the week, so I plan to get to those next week or the week after. And if you'd like to join our Discord server, the link is in the description below, so feel free to head on over and chat. We recently created an events chat so that one-shots and homebrews and the like can be hosted, so hopefully we can get a few games going on shortly. As always, if you liked the video and you want to see more videos just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon next to it in order to be notified of future videos. And if you also wouldn't mind hitting that like button, it's going to do me a huge favor by pushing the video to a greater audience. Now, while you wait for a new video to come out from my channel, here are a few related videos that you can watch in the meantime.